Hi, I'm Sheila Butler. I'm supposed to stand where people can see me, so I guess I'll stand here. Can you see me, Shelby?
I can't see anyone, but that's okay.
You can't see. Well, if they're not seeing me, then nobody is seeing me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see you.
Jen's going to get on as the presenter. So good morning. Welcome to Haven, Indiana. We're going to start, and those of you online, I will attach this. I tried to attach it in my thing, but if you will give me, if you would like one of these flyers, I will gladly send you the link to it. I couldn't get it to attach at home, so I'm going to, but we have in here, you guys get arts and crafts. You may take a couple, you may fold them. You get to fold them yourself. So I will just pass these around. But this is just this is the flyer that they have created, so maybe so you'll see kind of what it looks like. So this is Crossroads to Career, how one employer is fueling HSE education. And so as you can see, we have three of us presenting because I was the teacher in that program this year for part of the year. And my former boss, who's now does lots of other jobs, Rob Moore, is joining us. And he was the one that helped create it originally. And Shelby Pritchett is the person kind of in charge of it at Hook. So we have several of us here that can answer from different vantage points. And so we're going to kind of tell you about this. But this is a great way to partner with a business that needs a worker and needs their GED. So this is a really successful program. And so we're going to tell you some more about it. Does this work? Here, so. Okay, so you don't get to see me, you just get to see our board. Sorry. Technology is so let me see if this actually does up.
It does show Shelby though, just so you know.
Okay, so Shelby, you get to see Shelby, or I get to see Shelby.
When she talks, it moves back and forth.
Okay, I'm just going to use my, how do I button this thing? I think I was probably supposed to stick it in somewhere. You do it this way. How do I do it with my mouse? Oh, there we go. Slide 2. How about I go to slide 2? All right, slide 2. So employers need a reliable workforce. We all know that. And it's getting harder and harder. And they always want us to prepare them for this. And adults lack high school diplomas, and there's time, money, and confidence. Because if they don't have a job, they need a job, they can come to work. And then if they're at work, they really want to go to school because now they're so busy, they don't have time for school. So this kind of takes care of that. And I think it's pretty brilliant, actually. So they call this My Cook Pathway, and it's the employer hires participants, their paid study time, we're partnering with a business and the career pathway to employment, so they can go on further and further. So it's a really wonderful thing. So I'm going to introduce Rob Moore. He is the one that helped start this originally, and he will tell you a lot more about it than I even know.
Well, thank you and good morning and welcome either virtually or in person to our wonderful state of Indiana, and hope you enjoy your Hoosier hospitality while you're joining us either in person here in Indianapolis or online. So my name is Rob Moore. I became director of our adult education program in the Monroe County Schools in Bloomington, Indiana in 2011. Prior to that, I was director of adult education in another smaller rural program about 2 hours south of there, and became director, like I said, in Bloomington in 2011. In 2011, Indiana had a major shift in adult education. Our governing state agency up to that point was the Indiana Department of Education, the K-12 state agency. And most of our providers at that time for adult education were in fact school systems. And we had one post-secondary institution, but the rest were school systems. But in 2011, that all changed. We changed state agencies to the Department of Workforce Development. I'll let you know that I fought that as our state president unsuccessfully. That move was made, and now I think if it were proposed to be changed from the Department of Workforce Development, I would probably fight that too, because we are very much at home in the Department of Workforce Development. Well, when you make a change like that, adult education has to kind of have a change of mindset. We were at that time, then at that change from Department of Education to Workforce Development, that suddenly changed us from simply a basic skills remediation program to a workforce development program. Quite a change of mindset and therefore quite a change of activities. Okay. Now, I'll let you know a little about Monroe County, Indiana. Bloomington is our county seat. It's about 2 hours south of Indianapolis. It's the home of Indiana University, Big Ten University, just won the football national championship, if you haven't heard. So quite an educated community on the surface, but underneath the highly educated population we have, Monroe County has 5,000 adults working age 18 to 64 who have no high school diploma. That's kind of a population that we don't talk about very much, but it has great impact on our employers and their hiring pipeline and who they can hire. Also at that time in 2011, there were some rumblings that the federal legislation, the Workforce Investment Act, was going to be rewritten to unite adult basic education to other workforce development programs. And sure enough, it did. In 2014, we got the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. It was the first major rewriting of the workforce development system in the United States. And it was signed into law by President Obama in a strongly bipartisan vote from Congress, and so much so that it actually got a public signing. That's how much support that moving adult basic education to a more into the workforce development system had. So in 2015, having come off the fight of the move statewide, I just said, okay, well, I'm just going to play ball. I'm just going to be a good player in the sandbox. So locally, we became united to our America Job Center, our workforce development center. In Indiana, we call them Work One offices. Your state has other names for them. And I said to the business services representative, that's the person who engages with employers, I said to her, I want to have a class in a workplace. I don't care really who the employer is, and I don't care really what they want. We can do high school equivalency, we can do English language learning, we can do some industry recognized certifications. If they just want to upskill employees on math or writing or anything, I don't really care what it is. I want a class in a workplace, and I really need your help from the workforce development system locally to help me do that. And she said, okay, we're going to find you one. And in spring of 2016, they found us one, Cook Medical. Cook Medical is a international company, very well renowned medical device manufacturing company. If you've ever been in a hospital anywhere and had any kind of intravenous or catheter type of device, is probably made by Cook, no matter where you went. Fine company. Started in the founder's garage and moved to plants all over the world. I think Shelby will attest to that. The president there at Cook, very community minded, cited some anecdotes to us when we started planning this, anecdotes of conversations he has had with his current employees. Cook is a medical company it's a company in Bloomington that a lot of people just go to work for and they stay there for 30 years. It's a really good company, really good employee benefits. So once you get a job there, as long as you're attending and doing a good job, you never have to find another job in your life. So a lot of long-term employees there, and anecdotes that he was citing from his employees where they were telling him, look, it's such a good company to work for. I sure would like my kids to work here, but they dropped out of high school. And you had to have a high school diploma, like in many other companies, to work for Cook. And then he goes back to those 5,000 working age adults in Bloomington, Indiana, Monroe County, that don't have a high school diploma. That's a barrier for individuals to find jobs. It's a clog in companies' talent pipeline. But it's an opportunity to tap what he called this hidden workforce. Those 5,000 working age adults without a high school diploma, the Monroe County's hidden workforce. So most of Cook's actually all of Cook's production positions required a high school diploma. And so we needed to find a way to work around that to unclog this talent pipeline. That's what he wanted to find. So I worked with Shelby and some other folks that she on her team in human resources at Cook and with our workforce development center, and we came up with something. And they decided, and this is a great innovation on their part. They created a job posting specifically for people who do not have a high school diploma to sort of an earn and learn type of job. They would go to work in positions that don't really require a high school diploma. That would be like, maintenance, environmental services, and in the employee cafeteria specifically. And they would work there 28 hours a week. And then we would offer a class from our adult education program for 10 hours a week. Come to class 2.5 hours a day, 4 days a week. Worked out pretty well. And we decided that we would have each cohort go for about 7 weeks. So why 7 weeks? Well, one of the questions that came up in our planning was, and a company certainly would think about this, how long does it take to get a high school diploma in your program? Are we talking a year or 2 years or a week or a day, or how long does this take? And so I did some data research, and it turns out that in our program with regular attendance, it took about 54 hours with regular attendance on average. Now, of course, some people take longer, some people take shorter, but our average was 54 hours of regular attendance. So that's kind of how we built in a few more hours just to make sure somebody didn't pass a section of the high school equivalency test. We had some time to kind of remediate and retest. We are also preparing the people for the work keys test because Cook also had their production jobs profiled to the work keys test. So we wanted to make sure we got them qualified in that way. Our assistant here is doing some. Here I am. Hello, everybody. Now, Jen, I'm not sure putting me on here. We don't want to lose people by them seeing me. Okay. But anyway, so we're preparing also for the work keys test in applied math and reading for information as well. And that went really right along with our high school equivalency subjects, reading and math. So our next thing was we need a place to have the class. Okay. Fortunately, right next door to Cook is a community college campus. Ivy Tech is our community college here in Indiana. We have a beautiful campus next door to Cook, and that was a really good place to have it because that's within that. Really, it's almost just right on the campus there. The employees don't have to go far to go to class after work. Okay? And really, this My Cook pathway is part of an education promotion initiative in Cook with the community college called Achieve Your Degree. Many companies pay tuition reimbursement to their employees to go to college, and Cook, being very innovative, said, let's switch that around. Let's pay for that tuition up front, because for the employees to come up with that tuition out of their pocket first is kind of a barrier, and Cook is about removing barriers. So I thought that was genius. So they pay for the close classes as long as it applies to somehow to Cook and their jobs. They do that. So it's kind of a larger education initiative. But anyway, back to My Cook pathway in our high school equivalency. So we had our first start in August of 2016, and we've made some further refinements and innovations after that. Pretty soon, after a couple cohorts, Cook began to, to start with, Cook paid for the students' calculators to keep, and they paid for the high school equivalency tests. But after a couple cohorts, Cook decided, to promote attendance and promote completion. They said, let's go ahead and pay for time in class as well. So we got really joined at the hip with sharing attendance data. Okay. And then around November of 2017, the president called me and said, I need to see you in my office. And I thought, oh my God, how did we screw this up? And I went in there and he said, first thing he said was, "Hey, Rob, what's your bandwidth for expanding this? Do we have employees going to work in the morning, class in the afternoon? Can we expand this in some way?" And I said, "Yeah, we could double this. We just need some help paying for a teacher because I'm out of grant funds." He said, "Done. Tell me how much it's going to cost." So what we did was we had one group of people going to work in the morning, class in the afternoon, and another group switched. They went to work class in the morning and work in the afternoon. So we had that going since November of 2017. That's the innovation we went. So that's a little bit of the history. Those are our partners that make this happen. It really took for us a visionary company and kind of a dim-witted adult education director to say, okay, let's play ball. We can do this. This is what we do. I think some takeaways that I have as a director would be this. When we work with companies, we need to make sure that we are using their language, okay? Here's something that I learned kind of before that. When we in education, we speak of remediation, that's a good thing. We help people to build skills through remediation. When a company speaks of remediation, that's a bad thing. That means that's probably the last stop on your way out of the company, okay? When we in education, we think of the word training as a bad thing. We train animals. We don't train people. Dogs are trained. But when a company speaks of training, that's a good thing. We're helping people build their skills. So it's learning some of that. And I think that's one thing about the lingo. Another one is being very flexible. Before I worked with Cook in the previous adult education program I had, we had a company that we approached about doing a class, and they needed class between shifts, and shifts were changed at like 1 in the morning. So we had to have a teacher there at 1 o'clock in the morning for another workforce class that we had. That's early, yeah. Kind of plan their lives around that one. But being very flexible, just uniting to a common mission, I think is the third takeaway. Our common mission is that employees have an opportunity to build financially sustaining careers for themselves and financial stability for their families. That promotes employability for the company, sustainability of the company, and sustainability of our whole community. So that's my little history lesson on my Cook pathway. So Sheila, tell us what's next here.
Thank you, Rob. This is what I look like. Hi. Technology is wonderful until it's not. So let me find my little mouse. So next, I'm going to introduce to you Shelby. She's coming with us online, and she's going to tell you a little bit about how it works now, because we've changed things a little bit. And I think she has a couple of slides. So Shelby, when you need me to switch slides, just let me know. And I will
Go ahead.
Okay, I don't know what she's doing. Okay. Oh, so you can see
so
Shelby
they
up
can
there.
See her.
Oh.
You guys want to see her, right?
All right. So Shelby, take it away.
Okay, can you go back to the last slide?
Sure.
Yes, sorry. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Sheila.
Is that good?
Yes, thank you. So my name is Shelby Pritchett. I work as a project manager in HR at Cook Inc. And I am now supporting the high school equivalency program at Cook. So like Rob mentioned, we partnered with them in 2016. So it's been our 10th year of running this program. And we originally started with that framework, as he said, of we weren't paying for classes. We were having people that would be paid for their work, and then we were paying for their testing. As this kind of took off and we were seeing the success of it, we were hearing from a lot of individuals of, I could have finished this course, I could have finished this program, but it was really hard to choose between working part-time and then not being paid for the classes. So luckily I work in a place where Pete Unkman, the president of the company, was like, why don't we just pay them for those classes? So we've seen a lot of changes through these 10 years. I think it's set up really well now, the way that it works, because we've worked through some of those things that weren't going as well in the beginning. But what we've done is we've partnered with local adult education facilities. So we started with Broadview, but we've been able to expand that to a few other local facilities as well. We have these positions available at 6 of our cook sites in the Monroe County kind of area, in Olin County areas of Indiana. And we do 5 sessions a year. So 5 times a year, I put up a posting, we get applicants from that, and then I interview all of those applicants. Once we've determined how many seats we have available, I then make offers to those individuals and we get them started at Cook, and then they begin attending those adult education courses there. Roughly, they work at Cook about 20 hours a week, and then they're in class another 12 hours a week, and we're able to pay them then that full time because we're paying for both class and work. One of the things that we were able to change as well is that originally we were having them work in custodial and cafeteria. We now have it set up that as long as you're in the program, you can also work in a manufacturing position. If you're in that manufacturing position, the training that you're doing in there is the same training that you would get once you go full time. So we're getting kind of a head start on that training to see if it's a good fit for them before we make them that full time offer at the end of this. So seeing a lot of benefits there, just giving people an idea of what that full time position would look like. If you don't mind to pop over. All right, and so on the screen, I just want to share a few stats. So far since 2016, we've had 251 graduates. We've able to have 50 current employees, and there's a lot of reasons why that's such a big gap there. One of the biggest things that I like to point out and what Pete likes to point out is that this program is really meant to help the community. It is a benefit for the company, but overall, if we're seeing people get their high school diplomas and then go do something else within their community, we're still considering that a win. So sometimes I have individuals that come to me and they're like, long term, I'm not wanting to work at Cook, but I have always dreamed of being a nurse or joining the military, and this is holding me back. So we've had individuals that have come to us. We knew they were not going to accept full-time offers, but we were able to support them through the program so that they can continue their education or pursuing, things that they were passionate about. As Rob also mentioned, we have that tuition assistance program, and we do encourage our individuals that go through the HSE program to then continue on to get a college education. And last year we had our first individual graduate with a bachelor's degree. So we're seeing a lot of success through the program, whether they're staying at Cook or whether they're continuing that education or getting a different position in something that they're more passionate about. And so that's really all that I had to share. It's a very simple program. Once it's set up and once it's running, it just flows really well. I understand that kind of getting something like this started is a bit complicated, but having the president's support through all of this has made it significantly easier on me. Anytime that we've needed to make changes, I've always had, the support within the company to do so. So I'll pass that back over to Sheila.
Thanks so much, Shelby. I've been lucky enough to get to teach in this once. This was not, I didn't start as their teacher. I was doing other things back in the day. But why does this work? It works because you pay people to learn. I said, it's kind of as close as that I taught in the jail for 8 years, and I had great results in the jail because I had a captive audience, and you kind of get a captive audience because they have to show up. I turned it back on. Okay. Can you hear me? Is it loud? Yeah, that's doing it. I turned it off while she was talking, but I did turn it back on. And you get employer investment, and there's just real job opportunity. And it's been a really successful thing. People really want to do it. So that's what I found. And I retired last May. And about 2 weeks after I retired, my boss, my new boss, because Rob's no longer there, came and said, hey, we get to have Cook back, because Ivy Tech took over for a little while. And he said, we get to have Cook back, but I have to have a teacher that knows how to teach to do this. Would you come back? And I'm like, I can only work 20 hours a week. That's all I'm allowed to work. So I'll do one class. So we are doing one class, but we've had 13 graduates so far, and there's 10, I think, in the pipeline right now to finish before May. So it's been a really successful year, actually. And so how do you do this? Well, one is to take some of those flyers, because I made 50, so take extras if you want. Find an employer partner that in your area collaborate with adult ed and then start that thing. Start small. You saw we've changed it. It started out them not paying. They just paid for parts of it. And you work your way up and you get them to have buy-in. And when they see how great it is for them, then they're going to be more apt to give you more things and scale it. So start with one class and then maybe go to two. We'll probably back in two at some point once funding gets back where it's supposed to be nationally. I'm hoping we'll be able to eventually have a morning and an afternoon again. That would be awesome. So that's that. And then my portion of it is, how do you do this in 6 weeks? I came up with, when I was in jail, I had a summer school, and my summer school was 4 weeks long, and I birthed what I call fast track. And I did it in 4 weeks, but I found outside of jail, 6 weeks was better. And so every 6 weeks I would have turnover, and I'm given 7 with Cook. And so you can get a lot of people through in that time. So I have a little Google Classroom. I'm just going to show you. This is how I base my class. And if anybody, honestly, if you have questions, if you would like one of these, if you would like to get the teacher version of this where you can copy this program, just you have to give me your Gmail. So just I will pass around a piece of paper for those people in here. And otherwise, if you're online, just give the Gmail and we'll write it down. Or you can send me an email at the end. Send me an email with your Gmail. And then I will put you in as a teacher in this program. Then you can copy it to your own classroom. I use Google Classroom. I use the public version because we don't have a school accounts. And so you have to use a personal Gmail to do that. And I can invite you as a teacher. You can't sign up as a teacher. I have to invite you as a teacher, but I'm happy to do that if you're interested. But I'll just show you, and maybe this will just give you some ideas, and let's see if this will be nice, and let me do this. Okay, no, it's not going to be nice, and let me do this. Open, save, copy. Open link in new window. That's what I want to do. Maybe. Okay, Jen, I may need you. It opened when I was doing it a minute ago, but not on here. Can you help me?
Oh, it's up there.
Oh, I keep forgetting that it's
So,
not here.
Okay, so. Where'd my mouse?
That's all right.
The mouse keeps.
I can just look up there. That's
Okay.
all right. I'll just look up there.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So
Okay,
well, I kind of need to look at here because I can't. Do I have a mouse up there?
It has
Oh, I
to,
do have a mouse up there.
yeah,
Yes,
there you
I have a
go.
mouse.
Yeah, it's just,
Sorry, technology. I usually travel with my own IT. My husband has been my IT for years, and he takes care of me. And he's not traveling with me this year, so I'm kind of lost. So I have Jen. All right. So this is called 6 Steps to Your HSE, and I did have it as 6 weeks, and it was freaking people out. They were like, I can't do this in 6 weeks. You don't have to do it in 6 weeks. Cook right now gives them about 6 months, and they can have like 48 hours of missed time. They don't get paid for missed time, but if they miss, so if they're constantly taking off, then eventually they'll say, sorry, this isn't really the right job for you. So 6 months is a pretty good time. I've been able to get most groups through. Out of the groups I've had this year, a majority of each class is done in the 7-week time. So you have a few stragglers. If they come in with low reading, that's going to take longer. If they come in with really strong reading, usually they just need math. I can teach anybody math in 6 weeks. So that's what I typically do. So what I have here, and these are just some things. I have some GED study materials and HiSET study materials, because we both in Indiana do both the GED and the HiSET, depending upon which program you're in. In our particular program, our main one is the GED, but we use HiSET for accommodated tests. Because it's the easiest one to get accommodations in, as opposed to getting them in the GED. So we use both. And then there are some programs in Indiana that just use HiSET because they just liked it better. And there are some that just use GED. So I have both, some things. And these are just, most of the things that I give you are things that you just pick your own favorite things. I typically use Kaplan. That's one of my favorite. We also use Aztec. And so I can't give you Aztec because you would have to purchase Aztec, but I use Aztec quite a bit because it's very differentiating. But I have some just things that I found online that are free that, like essay assignments and videos to watch that were the GED gives and then stuff for high set too. So depending upon which test you use. I always give a new student activities and you can tack anything in here you want. I have a lot of other things in here on mine that I'm not giving you all, but there's a little introductory essay. I want to learn about them and learn about what they, and by having them fill this out at the beginning, I get a really good, strong sense of their writing ability right away. And I'm like, okay, we got to work on capitalization and periods. And then, actually you got two of them. I guess one of them didn't get deleted. And then there's a calculator for free download. If you do not know about this, this is awesome. I think this is the right one. Let me see. If it isn't, I will fix it. No, this is the wrong one. I will put the right one on. I used my older version of this. You used to be able to get a free one on here. Get out of that.
Remember that's just exit or go back over to the, it's kind of hard to see.
Is it up? It's up here, right? It's in the corner usually. Is that exiting me? There we go. I need to just get out. Okay. Oh, I did
Let's
it.
go over to the, see how up at the top, it opened a new window. So go back to your other window.
I don't, just do it. I can't even see what you're pointing.
I know. Where's my mouse? There it
Over
is. There it is. Nice and slow. Whoops. Well, yeah, let's try the back button. Well, is this it?
No,
No,
no, that's Mr. I don't know who that is, but that's Mr. Turbo. Well, that's what I get for opening up a page.
you ain't kidding. Okay, hang on. We're gonna drag it back over. We're gonna hang on. Okay.
Let me make it smaller to control. Control minus, control minus.
Control
Control minus.
minus.
Control
Control
what?
W.
You're awesome. Thank you. No new thing. Control W closes the window. Yay. So there is a better calculator. So I will fix that for you all. There's two calculators that are free now that look just like your calculator, the calculators they use, the ones with the smart view or and there's two of them and they work on your phone. Most online calculators do not work on your phone, and these are great. So when they don't have a calculator, they can actually make their phone into a calculator. That is not the right one. So I will replace that one in a little while. I also have we have some Spanish students, so I had some Spanish resources. And these are computer logins that are useful. This one's Read Theory. So if people do not have good reading, Read Theory can be a good way to bring up their reading for free. You can create a teacher account. I'm not opening them up anymore because I don't trust myself. But you can create a teacher account and add them to your class, which I did. And then you can look at what they do. I have other ways I teach reading, and then some free sample tests and practice tests on TABE if you don't have those links. How many of you use GD? And anybody on mine can voice in. How many use TABE? I mean, a high set. Anybody use? No, but there's nothing else. So, dude, how many of you all have total transcript in your states where you get to use all three tests? Have that? Which state are you from? Oklahoma. That was a great thing when it came to Indiana. It's been great. And so that was very exciting. I saw, I think it was an M state. It was like Michigan. It wasn't Michigan. Might have been Mississippi that did it like first, and it made the news. And at that time, Jerry Hafner was our leader, and I sent it to him. I'm like, hey, can we do this? And he said, no. And I said, okay. And then about a year later, he's like, Indiana is doing totals transcript with Diploma Center. And I'm like, I planted that seed. So I was very excited for that. And this year I actually have 3 students right now that are finishing up from a task test. So that's really great. And then this is really where it comes into is the steps, and I have steps. Only thing that really needs 6 steps is math. Everything else is like 3 steps, 4 steps. So I have steps, and I have a list of math. I have a math list, and my picture. Is this my picture? Well, please don't make me so I can't do it. But so this is my math list. This is what I follow when I teach math, and I honestly get to about the geometry measurement area graphs. And I don't usually do the stuff at the bottom, hardly ever. Often where you see the little stickies, I will get to those stickies and people pass their test. So I sometimes don't even go down here, but I use this list, and I haven't changed it much in the years. I've added a couple of things for GED. I add negative exponents. I discovered that was something that was on the test on the GED, and nobody knew what a negative. I said, you know, I've done this for 24 years, and not once have I ever taught negative exponents. I haven't even done negative exponents in so many years. I had to look it up. And so I'm like, okay, just a different way to write other things. So I do a lesson in that. So I stick that in. I usually do that like the 2 or 3 days before they go take their test, just to kind of throw it into there so they can say that I never showed it to them. They at least see it. But that's one of them. And then I have a bunch of videos that just show kind of, and it's in order of what I teach, little lessons. So that's what I teach in math, and I do the 6 steps. And then the purple math book, and they're here, and I shouldn't probably have this on here. They're all in drafts. This is actually the Kaplan book. I was really late. I decided to do this. Rob and I were talking yesterday. He said, well, you should just walk them through your classroom. And I'm like, I don't think I have one up to give people, but I'll try to make it. I gave up at midnight. But this one is actually the Kaplan book, and it's the end of each of their math chapters. And so I love that. And I think I might even just had said that's what it is. I think that's what I did. That's what I meant to do. Yeah, just use the end of the chapter reviews in the Kaplan prep book. So I didn't actually give you the page. I had it printed because this was my pandemic project. During the pandemic, I created this so that I could teach from home, and they didn't have books. So I had to take pictures of pages. And so I created all this to teach from, and it's been great. So I still use it. And then these are just some additional things. I did give you 3 pages out of a book. It's out of Elaine Martin Gaye's, and I give you videos to her under my videos. I love her lessons, but I only use 3 pages out of this book that's this thick. These are my 3 pages. I use 1.8, 3.1, and 3.3. So otherwise, that's what I do. And then writing, these are just some activities I found for free. I have a lot of trouble. If you do GED, do you have trouble getting them passing that essay? I don't know how to make them do that. Nothing that I taught for task and high set work.
You don't always make it, but you have our on without it. So like often people are struggling to pass the high sets, to do it to pass there. We make sure that the rest of their skills, they really struggle with the essay part.
And I should have you repeat that. I'm supposed to have that.
Yeah, you can repeat it or you're the night.
So she said that they don't have.
Yeah, I was just saying that because on the high set, you do have to write an essay, you cannot pass that 5th test without it. But on the GED, our teachers have really focused for those who are struggling with the essay part on the rest of the language components, because you can pass the GED without writing a single word in the essay section.
I do that too, though I tell them, I say, I'd rather you not just skip the essay, please try it, but don't worry about it, don't panic over it. What do you do?
So our teacher has had pretty good luck with using essential education where they can write that essay, and then she does the educator scoring on it. So they're getting practice, and she's giving them feedback on it, and they've done pretty well on it. Yes.
That's awesome. Well, that's great to make passing scores. I tried to use their rubric. I give you the rubric on here somewhere. There's a rubric for the GED. I fed that into my AI. His name is Gabe. And he named himself. His name is Gabriel Perpetual Thinker. And anyway, I put it in. I said, please be extra strict. Absolutely. And he still gives them 2s and 3s, and they get 0s. Now I don't, of course, see what they actually write on the test, but I find that very frustrating. And so Anyway, so I have lots of things on writing and I still try to teach them to be better writers because you have to be able to write legibly and incoherently. So we do a little bit of writing, but it's certainly not a high focus for me. And then reading, I left these on for audio, but you'd have to get the books yourself. I only left you the pink book. I recorded the pink book, so I figure it's my recording, so I can give it to you. And I only got up through 60, but there was an SRA reading series. It's called Reader Power. It was from Hooked on Phonics back 33 years ago. My son is 35. I bought it when he was 2. It's something, I don't know what it stands for, something Scholastic Reading Assessment or reading something, but it's, if you looked up Hooked on Phonics, My Reading Power, you can find them on eBay. And they're books, and it's a box of cards, and it's like a card has 2 pages of reading and then 2 pages of questions. And they start in the green book. Number 1 is about a 2nd grade level, maybe low 2nd grade level. And the 100 is high school level. So in 100 readings, you can raise their reading score. And it has been the best thing I have ever done. And so since I have the box came with cassette tapes for the green book. And I bought one of those machines that you can make it a digital, and I digitized. And then my husband and I went on one of his work trips, and I was sort of stuck in a hotel for the week. So I just recorded all of the pink book. Cannot find 61 through 68. I know I have recorded them. It's somewhere on my computer, but I at least have up to 60. And I read everything for them in the pink. And then the blue book, I don't read. I figure you should be reading by the blue book without needing audio help. So it's been great. Students often come in the pink book and they go through the pink and the blue book. My rule is on TABE. Do you all use TABE in here? My rule on TABE is that you have to be at a 480 and you get the pink book. If you're below a 480, you get somewhere in the green book. Usually I start you about 15. If you're at 500, you get the blue book. And if you're like really just not quite 530, I have a rule of 530. 530 is my rule for you're kind of close. You can be what I call boot campable. So I can do you in about less than 20 hours if you are at a 530. If you are below a 530, we need to get you to a 530. I don't let people take a ready test until they post-test at a 530. Now, a 530 is not a guarantee, but you're close. And so that's what I do, and that's how I found to use that. And then I fell asleep before I got to these, but this is, I think it's Kaplan, and it's just 3 or it's some other reading program, but it was just 3 lessons, real short in 1 step and 3. And I used to use that, and it was 3 steps for reading. As I said, if they're good readers, they don't really need that. Social studies, I have some steps, and these are all just links to crash course videos in the topics. Most students don't really love them. And then I also, for America, the Story of Us, this is YouTube links of all 12 videos, and they're great, absolutely great. They're about 45 minutes, really well done by the History Channel. I have them on here, and they sometimes get found out and they take them down. Then you have to go hunt for them again and make another playlist. But so far, this playlist has lasted for a while, so I think maybe it's safe. I privated it so it doesn't show. You can only get it through the link so that they won't keep pulling it down. I didn't put them up. I own the tapes, but they're CDs and nothing holds. I can't play CDs anymore, or DVDs. I can't play them anymore. I don't have anything to play a DVD on. So then there are just some other fun things I found over the years. I just left them on as drafts. Science, I love these videos. There was a man in Indiana that made Mr. Tasconi videos during the pandemic on the task test. They were fantastic. He has there's 11 videos. I think 8 of them are life science and 3 are earth and space. And then they announced that task was going away and he stopped making the videos. And I was very sad. And I've tried to find him. I found out his name. I've sent him messages. He obviously either isn't a teacher anymore, or he doesn't check those messages. But I wanted to go, did you ever like fix them over? Because science is science. It doesn't matter what test it is. They're great. And then these other videos under steps, on the 3 steps, are the 3 subjects they talk about. When we first got the standards that came out, I took the standards and found this man who teaches teachers about these standards. And I took every standard and I have a video for it. And the standards, he's fine. He's a little dry. But he does this kind of great, he scaffolds it. He'll say, if you were teaching this in elementary, you would teach this much of this concept. In middle school, you would add this, and in high school, you would add this. And it's great. And so I have that. And those are there. And then there's just some flashcards I found. I find free stuff, I put it on here. I tell my students, I am giving you my library. And so you have it, everything is not assigned to you, but it's available to you. And the free TABE practice test, I gave another link to those. And then I do things. I do meditation, I do power poses, I do all kinds of things. And these are my 3 video links to doing those things. So this is there. If you are interested, that's what I do. And this is how I teach every class that I teach. And I've done this for over 20 years. I've been teaching for 24, but it took me 4 years to figure it all out. And then the classroom has been just since the pandemic. I had started the classroom. I had some stuff in the classroom, but it became what it is. And every year I add to it and add to it. So I do need to fix that thing. And I'll make sure you have a calculator worksheet that I created. I tried to give you the stuff I was allowed to give you without copyright infringement. There may be a couple things I missed, but if you're interested, just let me know and I will invite you. And in fact, those in here, if you're interested, come over at the end and I'll invite you before you walk out the door. And because I'm one of those people, if I don't do it now, I will forget. So now I need to get out of this back to our presentation, Jen. How do I do that? Really? One more time. No, that doesn't do it.
You don't need this anymore at all?
And not this, no. Okay. I just need to go back to my presentation, however that is.
I need to drag it back off and. Why won't you gotta catch it right in the right spot. Any other tips for that? No, it's not.
Control minus, hit the minus key, and up there, the hyphen.
Listen.
There, can you see it now? Do it one more time.
It really bites using somebody else's computer.
It is, it's so hard.
It looks like there's like part of the screen covered up by.
You have questions. So if anybody online had questions, we can take one from in here and one from online. And if nobody has questions online, if anybody here has questions, I will bring you the microphone. Anybody have questions?
Shift Control W. You're the best. I love you. Can you just follow me around?
The question for benefits is still on, but if we were to talk to an employer, I love that Cook is so invested in the community. I think not every employer would that necessarily be something though that would be the selling point to them. So I think if I'm talking to an employer in my community about why starting up a program like this would be beneficial to them, what are maybe some of those outcomes or selling points that you as a business have seen for having this as a part of your company?
Shall we really hear that working?
She should just be able to tell her unmute and.
Shelby, if you can unmute, did you hear that question?
Oh, no, sorry. I can't hear the questions when you move away from your.
Okay, I thought the microphone would pick up for you. They said we had to always be on microphone. I'm trying to remember your question. You said, I'll I was gonna say, come over here. The question, since there's just three of us. So I will keep on the mic, but you can stand.
So I was just asking, as an employer, I think it's great that Cook is so invested in the community and sees that as a win. But if I'm trying to work with a local employer in my area, what are the benefits that you would say you have seen as an employer for having this HSE program available? What benefits could I tell them about that they might be interested in starting one in our area?
Okay, so I think the biggest benefit for us is seeing that talent pipeline because those that do stay, and I apologize, the dog is barking very loudly, but those that are staying have been staying for a long time. So we have individuals that started the program when it, in 2016 that have continued to be with us. I also think that our current employees, when they're able to refer family members and friends, it's just another one of those things that Cook is doing for their family. So it just increases that that they have to the company. So it's benefiting our current employees as much as it is bringing in new employees. But I would say that's our biggest win is that when somebody does graduate and they're a good fit at Cook, like they continue to stay at Cook and say good things about us to the others in the community. So there's several times where they are reaching out saying, I've told my friends, I've told my family members about this place, whether they're referring the program or just Cook in general as, full-time employment.
Thanks, Shelby. That's so helpful for us as adult educators to be able to cite that because that's kind of new to our language, and we are always want to be thinking about a company return on investment (ROI). I think the corollary to your question might be, how do we as adult educators find the right?
How do we find the right company? How do we find a cook? Okay, that would be willing and needing to kind of do this and engaging with us as a solution. I think one way to look for a company I found is if a company is sponsoring things in your community, okay, and their name is on things, like they sponsor the 4th of July fireworks in your community, or they sponsor this program in the school, or they have this pattern of community engagement. I think that tells you their mindset is, yes, we want to partner with folks in our community for things. Okay, that's a sign of a good company. I think that'd be right for something like this. I think another sign of company that I look for is, are they investing in, for example, billboards on the highway for hiring, and are they offering sign-on bonuses? That's telling us that, okay, this company wants to expand its talent pipeline and they're willing to invest. Okay, so when I try to talk to a company, I try to let's invest in the people rather than in billboards. Okay, let's invest in a system that will solve what you're trying to do. So I look for, okay, if some company's putting a billboard up, that's the one I'm trying to contact. Okay. And thirdly, you might look for a company who is posting things a lot on Indeed and LinkedIn and places like that. Again, kind of like a billboard, more electronically and digitally. They are looking for employees to hire. And we want on there to see what are their hiring requirements. If they're saying for entry-level jobs, high school diploma, that might be right to propose a My Cook pathway model to say, have we thought about maybe removing that requirement or suspending it or creating a position that doesn't require it? Let's hire them and train them up to those full-time positions and develop a career in their program. So I think those are the three things that I kind of look for, whether it's high school diploma or they want train, industry a person who has a position requires an industry certification or English language skills. That's kind of what I was looking for as an adult ed director. Does that make sense? Okay.
Anybody else have any questions in here? You guys, it seems like if anybody's online, could you just say, hey, I'm online and let us know you're here? That'd be great. Because we were trying to figure out, is there anybody even listening? But if anybody else has any questions, we might be done a little early. Yeah. Well, if anybody doesn't have any other questions, queries, or concerns, I will just end with our last slide of, well, I will if I can figure out how to get to this. Where's the mouse? There's the mouse. So this is, and I'm sorry, I tried to turn this to be white, but this is my email and sheila.s.butler@gmail.com if you cannot read that. And then I gave you also Rob's as rdm47479@gmail.com. If you have a question that one of us could answer that you didn't ask, please feel free to reach out to one of us. And
Especially for those listening to the recording, right?
yes, and if you end up having a question for Shelby, send it to me and I'll ship it off to Shelby. So here's Rob back.
Just one slight alteration there. The email address for Rob Moore, Director, RDM47579.
Fix it.
And if you want to know where the numbers come from, that's a zip code of Santa Claus, Indiana. It's where I live. My initials RDM and the zip code of Santa Claus, Indiana. You can find that.
I didn't know he had one. Oh, well, I can change it to that too. All righty, so I guess that's all. And we will go ahead and end the Zoom. Thank you so much, Shelby, for coming in today. I appreciate you so much. And thank you, Rob, for helping me. And this was a great day. And have a great
Thanks, everyone.
conference, everyone.